Hi Mark, I'm Mitch and I'm number 22 and today is Thursday and now is 7:30 and I'm going to have a recording and I find the news on CNN and I'm going to start. And the title of the news is Government criticized as malaria deaths spike in Cameroon. Nearly 800 people have died in a recent malaria outbreak in northern Cameroon, one described by public health officials as a served and sudden epidemic. Doctors treating more than 12,000 victims of the disease said those who died in the past 3 weeks were mostly young children and pregnant women. Heavy rains have flooded the region around Meru, giving mosquitoes ideal breeding conditions. This is severe and sudden epidemic. I see no end in sight. Dr. Amos Ekant, a malaria specialist treating more than 2,000 victims in Meru, told CNN. Wednesday, a panel of Cameroonian journalists on state radio criticized the government for not spreading the news about the outbreak and not requesting international aid. According to the Public Health Ministry, more than 12,000 people are seriously ill and have been admitted to hospitals. But there are fewer than 10 treatment centers are available to help those who contracted the mosquito-borne illness, and thousands of children and women are forced to sleep in the open or in overcrowded rooms without mosquito nets. 3 of my children have died here. Here is my wife lying helplessly with dry tied to the street. Abu Bakr Ador Miro told CNN, pointing out the conditions at the overcrowded Meru Regional Hospital. Only a few qualified physicians are available in the regional government hospital to handle malaria cases. This cannot yield a favorable result, it can warn. The Cameroon Medical Council, a body governing the medical corps in the West African nation, estimates a region of 1 doctor to every 40,000 patients. Less than 1,000 physicians currently work in the country. The council says, and toil under poor conditions and low wages. This is really a maze to Cameroon government. Tato Eric Tano, a newspaper published in Cameroon, told CNN by phone. The government footed the bill to transport thousands of voters to parliamentary and municipal elections earlier this month, he said, but it's not transporting dying patients to other areas with less crowded hospitals. Observers have criticized President Paul Biya of ignoring the mounting malaria death toll as he focuses on lavish preparations to celebrate his 31 years in the presidency November 6. Even the propaganda state radio CRTV is joking against this, said political analyst Prince Tanda. Health experts blame the upsurge of malaria cases on the poor use of malaria nets that were distributed free of charge among nearly 9 million Cameroonians in 2010. But a dwindling economy and the scarcity of food has forced some families to use the net for other purposes. This is no reason for me to sleep under this net while my children need food to eat. Elias Mavengono, a local fisherman, told CNN as he demonstrated how he could use the net to catch fish for his family. Climate change researcher Kevin Anagni said recently heavy rains and flooding in northern Cameroon have transformed villages into mosquito breeding grounds. Lake Chad continues to spill water off its banks and no levees has been created to stop the flood, Anagni said. They should be taken seriously, he added. Public health experts are now targeting the head of family in a daily campaign to stave off the malaria epidemic in Mora. Sleep under the mosquito bed net. Do not use them as fishing nets, one campaign banner read. But state public health officials are raising fears that the day's toll could reach the thousands in the next few weeks if international support is not received soon. More than 660,000 people around the world died from malaria in 2010, according to the World Health Organization. This news is over, and I'm going to read another news, and the title of the news is Refugees Inside Their Own War-Torn Country, Syrians Continue to Suffer. And this news is also from CNN. The ongoing violence in Syria has left millions of people displaced, and while many Syrians flee to neighboring countries to escape the bloodshed, others have remained despite being in harm's way, though they have been forced from their homes. According to the United Nations, UN, an estimated 4.25 million people are homeless inside the country, half of whom are believed to be children. Hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children have been left vulnerable after being forced to relocate from their homes, often multiple times. Without adequate shelter, food, and medical care, many people are now heavily relying on aid agencies to provide basic amenities. The family of Aisha, not her real name, is among them. Aisha says she fled her hometown in northern Syria after a bomb destroyed her home, killing 2 of her teenage children. She now lives in an abandoned building site with her remaining children and grandchild, and she fears for her family's safety, which is why she has asked not to use her real name. Her 40-year-old granddaughter carried a physical scar of the ongoing conflict after being burned during sailing. Recording the day she lived in her own house and farmland, Aisha says, "You have 5 people being killed, at times 6 or 10 and 15. Every day they targeted us with bombs, missiles, and snipers. Prison inmates suffer the most in Syria. Aisha is one among the 6.8 million people the UN deems to be in urgent need of protection and assistance. The destruction of homes and land had forced many others to abandon their old lives. Janet, not her real name, a young mother, said she fled after her house was bombed. Her 4-year-old son suffered from burns from that thing. He was burned while he was at the house. They bombed the house, which collapsed on him, and there is no available treatment for him, she says. Syria's medical system has suffered a heavy blow in this nearly 3-year-old conflict. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, more than 50% of Syrian hospitals have been destroyed or are non-operational. 7-year-old stories show parents worry of Syrian refugees. That means for a mother like Janet, immediate medical care is unavailable even in dire situations. We did not get any help. There are no doctors. Where shall we take him? My heart burned where I saw him this way. It was very hard feeling for me, she recalls. According to data given to the WHO by Syrian health authorities as of July 2013, 60% of the 91 public hospitals across the country have been affected by the conflict. Of those, 20 have been damaged, and 35 are out of the service. Many Syrian doctors have also fled the country and for aid agencies trying to provide medical relief to the needy. Syria remains one of the most dangerous places to work. Some of the heavy damaged towns in Syria have even less access to health care. Syria's health ministry estimates that in the governorate of Deir ez-Zor, Idlib, and Aleppo, 70% of health centers are either damaged or out of survive, the WHO said. World Food Program beefing up its cereal program. Aid needed. The United Nations Security Council is trying to ensure at-risk laws serving inside Syria, calling on the government to allow cross-border deliveries and on all combatants to agree on humanitarian policies in fighting for aid convoys. Regardless of the danger of operating in the middle of the battlefield, several non-governmental organizations, NGOs, are trying to establish medical care, with some hospitals even operated secretly. British Syrian-run charity Hand in Hand for Syria is one of them. It helped operate 37 clinics and hospitals within Syria, supported largely by donated medical supplies and volunteer doctors. In a makeshift clinic in Idlib province, Dr. Mohammed Abdul Salam, a pediatrician and medical director of a children's clinic run by the charity, says, there were no incubators in areas outside the government's control for premature babies. In these disease areas, private hospitals used to charge high price and people could not afford the cost of care, and that's why there was high infant mortality. The UN body for assistance in Syria, the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, estimates that for 2013 alone, aid of $1.4 billion is needed to deal with the growing humanitarian crisis inside the country. Destabilization of Syria's population will have an impact for many years to come. But for now, immediate assistance is needed for millions living under the dire conditions. And here is another news, also from CNN, and the title is Trapped and Dying in the Desert. Davy Walsh leaves behind love note and questions. Davy Walsh hopped into his maroon Pontiac Montana van last month and drove for hours without saying where he was going. He kept on driving, police said. Nearly 7 weeks later, a hitchhiker found him in a deep, isolated desert patch in Oz, hundreds of miles from his Kansas home. Injured and trapped in his car, he spent his final days penning love letters to his wife of 32 years and 4 sons. Authorities said his car plummeted into a ravine in early September after it veered off the road. Roach 54 sat in his mangled car for days, maybe weeks, police say. Nights become days, then weeks, then over a month. And as his family searched for him, he was trapped in his car, screaming his last word. What can have in the note is private, authorities said. And they have been handed over to Welch's family. His family's ordeal started September 2nd when he left his home in Manhattan, Kansas. A day later, relatives contacted the police to report that he had not returned home. At this time, officers confirmed that there was no reason to believe Ruth was currently in danger of harm or had no medical issues that may cause him to be in danger, the Raleigh County Police Department said. Instead, it notified law enforcement agencies in areas where Wells may have gone. 4 days after he left home, a missing person report was filed. Long stretches of time passed with no news of his whereabouts. The retired Pacific Coal representative was an avid outdoor man who loved landscaping, scuba diving, and snow skiing, according to his obituary posted on the funeral home's website. 36 days after he left home, on October 18th, a pedestrian walking along the edge of the desolate road saw an overturned car in a deep ravine. It was about 850 miles from his home on a deserted section of Interstate 70. Tire marked that stretch of the road down to where his vehicle crashed, authorities said. It didn't appear that he was braking or attempting a turn, just that he went straight off the road, said Todd Johnson, a spokesman for the Highway Patrol. Authorities believe Will fell asleep while driving, spinning the car, closing into the ravine, and rolling onto its passenger side. CNN affiliate that KSNT reported. Wells was trapped alive in the ravine for an unknown number of days. He was found dead. What police don't know is how long he lived, and with his passing, a lot of questions remain, like why was he so far away from home? And this news is also over, and I'm going to read another one. And the title is Reporters. 3 former Dutch tabloid journalists plead guilty to phone hacking. London CNN. 3 former journalists have reported Dutch defunct British tabloid News of the World have pleaded guilty to phone hacking. British media reported Wednesday, citing the prosecution in this case. The 3 who pleaded guilty are Neville Turkberg, John Wexler, and Greg Miskey. They were among a group of people who went on through his week in this much anticipated case. The highest profile defendants are Rickenhard Brooks, a product of global media driven murders, and Andy Cohen, a former swing doctor for British Prime Minister David Cameron, both former editor of the News of the World. It is not clear how the guilty plea from the three journalists will affect the case against their former bosses. The phone hacking accusations have reverberated through the top level of British politics and journalism and prompted a parliamentary committee to issue demanding criticism of Rupert Murdoch, whose News Corp owns News of the World through its UK subsidiary News International. Phone hacking scandal fast fades. After the scandal, Murdoch stepped down from the string of company directorship and abandoned the multi-billion-dollar buy to acquire state broadcaster BSKYB. Suspected hacking victims include some of the world's biggest celebrities, include Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, Jude Law, Paul McCartney, and soccer star Wayne Rooney, as well as victims of crime and the July 7, 2005 London terrorist attacks. Brooks and Coulson were close to British Prime Minister David Cameron, Coulson, who edited the News of the World from 2003 to 2007, went on to become Cameron's Director of Communications before resigning early in 2011. Brooks was a friend of the Prime Minister and his wife. Brooks formerly chief executive the News of the World parent company, News International, part of Murdoch News Corp. Empire also faces a charge of perverting the course of justice. But the most explosive charge against her is plotting in 2002 to eavesdrop illegal on the voicemail of missing British schoolgirl Millie Dowler, who was later found murdered. Public anger after the revelation in 2011 that the missing girl's phone had been hacked forced Murdoch to close News of the World, which Brooks edited at the time of hacking. She then became editor of the Sun newspaper before taking up the chief executive role. Murdoch News International announced the new name. Brooks, Coulson, and fellow former News of the World employees Stuart Greg Mysteryland at Modern's Neville Turbeck and James Wilsrod are accused of conspiring between October 3, 2000 and August 9, 2006 to intercept communication in the course of the transmission without local authority. Especially the charge asserts that They listen to voicemail messages of well-known people. Brooks, Carson, Connor, Mesquite, Turblick, and private investigator Gillen Milker face an additional charge of intercepting Dolo's message. Brooks, her husband Charlie Brooks, and a former personal assistant also face a separate set of charges of conspiring to obstruct the police investigation into phone hacking. They were charged in May 2012 along with Brooks' former deliver, a security guard, and members of News International security staff, with attempting to pervert the course of justice. The hacking scandal prompted Camera to set up an independent inquiry led by Lord Justice Levison to make recommendations on journalist ethics and examine the relationship of the press with the public, police, and publishers. UK newspapers failed to block royal chapter on press regulations. And these are all my recording, and it's about 31 minutes, and I'm going to say goodbye to you. Bye, Mark.